Yes, you may go ahead.
Yeah. Uh, Good evening, everyone. I hope the screen is visible. I'm Sri Lakshmi. Me and Darshana would be presenting our paper, A Study on the Impact of Accessibility to Physical Education on the Mental Health of Adolescents. I'm a third year graduate in political science and history with a passion for public policy. And my research partner, Darshana, is a student of Masters in Public Policy at the Christ University, Bangalore. So, this is about us. Uh, Introducing our paper, our paper majorly addresses a pertinent issue in 21st century where a lot of research literature has been wrote on this issue, right? That is the issue of mental health. WHO defines mental health as a state of complete or a holistic well-being, not only a physical well-being but also a mental well-being, right? Mental health in children, or particularly the topic of adolescence, became an area of research for both of us, especially due to the declining awareness of mental health and physical education in schools across India. Having passed out of public schools out of different regions of India, we kind of thought that this would be a area of research that would be holistically important for the understanding of mental health levels in adolescent children in India. Large sections of school students from the age group of 11 to 18, which is essentially described as the adolescent age, faces issue dealing with academic stress, not only on a very day-to-day basis, but also on the dependency of academic pressure versus other habits that they have nurtured throughout the life, right? That is to say that the children of this age group are not only deprived of such opportunities, but there are a larger section of students who reside in the real parts of India, that is the rural India, who lack accessibility to such spaces, which serve as breathing space during academic life, leading to a lot of academic pressure being burdened or over a period of time, right? This research aims to find out whether playing, which essentially is a means of diversion, or can it be a remedy for students. The accessibility to playing facilities or physical education has been judged through playgrounds in our research, primarily because we thought that playgrounds must be a bare minimum facilities that need to be provided to students across India. The hypothesis for the study conducted is that students with accessibility to playgrounds will respond to mental health conditions better, will be able to deal with marginally able to deal with the daily academic stress better than people with lack of access to such sort of a facility, right? The major objective of the study included to establish a comparison between academic and physical education, to investigate the causes of rising teenage academic stress and the relationship to accessibility to playgrounds. And lastly, also to determine the relationship between these two important facets of academic life, that is the academics and the inherent learning that happens, and secondly, the involvement in physical education, right? Why is this research very much significant? This research not only tries to understand the relationship between variables of mental health and physical education, it takes a step ahead to understand the importance of inculcation of physical activities into the larger treatment of mental health in students, right? Understanding the impact of physical activities and how far it helps to develop a sound mental state is a pertinent area of research that needs to be explored further, right? This research establishes that this relationship, however, is not very linear. That is to say that a student with accessibility to any physical education facility needn't always mean that that person is able to deal with stress better, right? So, this research through our questionnaires tried to target an audience with accessibility to physical education as well. Through their answers and through responses, we are able to determine that even a person with access is not able to holistically maintain their mental health until and unless policies support that sort of an integrative program to treat mental health issues. Lastly, this research, moving away from mental health, also on a far basis tries to establish how the socio-economic boundaries also prevent children from accessing bare minimum physical education facilities in school. Review of literature. The larger literature that centers around mental health, physical activities in education is largely very bipartisan. It actually comes ahead with the conception that physical health activity is essentially a way of catharsis, right? Can physical activity be a way of treatment is something that needs an extended research. Can only physical activities lead to some sort of relief, or does it need to be clubbed with other psychotropic treatments or therapy is an area of research that needs to be extended, that is extended in our paper. Secondly, it is argued by McKinsey and Richmond in their book Health is an Academic, a Guide to Integrated School Health Programs, that there is this strong connection between children's mental health and learning. So the process of learning inherently becomes better when the learning happens in a very holistic manner with exposure to physical education. This is to say that through many other research scholars, it is established that there is a significant impact of positive impact of physical education on day-to-day well-being of students. Secondly, the paper by Pascoe and Parker became a larger inspiration for our study, because in their paper, the central thesis surrounds the fact that the connection between physical activity and sports and mental health is not so congruous, and the treatment or the therapy or preventive strategy for psychological problems in adolescence should be clubbed together with not only physical education, but also it should be clubbed together with therapy and other psychotropic treatments. This is an area of literature that we have worked on for our research paper better. Lastly, Biddle and Asari writes about the lack of involvement of governmental bodies to ensure these infrastructural facilities. Through our questionnaires, we were able to understand that while infrastructural facilities are there, it's very limited in most of the schools. That is to say that people who want to engage or develop the culture of sports in schools are not able to go ahead with that. Not only that, there is less amount of awareness around day-to-day well-being of mental health in schools. That is to say that the teaching curriculum is not very empathetic to children facing the mental health problems. Lastly, to our knowledge, the impact of accessibility to physical activities and how it cuts across a socioeconomic factor is little known, and this paper aims to explain these factors through synthesis of existing literature. This was part of the secondary research of our paper. Darshana will take up from now for the primary.
I'm sorry, it was unmute. Good evening, everyone. Uh, till now, we just saw that the secondary research, like how secondary research impacted on our study. Now, let us understand what is the primary research. So, basically, primary research is nothing but how the comparison between the two variables. What are two variables? One variable is the students with playground, and the other variable is the student without playground. How do you correlate? Like the mental stress on the playground students and the without playground students are equal, or they vary. This is what the primary question we had before we started our questionnaire. And our questionnaire was basically dealing with like 15 questions, which was talking about does the playground is available, or the playground is affecting the mental health, or the is you are escaping from your studies in order to attend your sports, you're coming to school. So these are the questionnaires which we prepared. And then through this we had largely got the sample size was like almost 100 respondents. We did both ground level and as well as the online also. Ground level, I had visited to one school that was having without playground. Basically, it's an government school. That's a Lalbagh government school, um, where I could really understand how the students are very interested to play, but there is no opportunity to play. And then there was the other schools like Baldwin's, Bishop Cotton. They have a lot of playgrounds, but the time of consuming the playground is very less. So that is what the comparative what we analyzed. And then can you go to the next slide? Okay, methodology. It was basically a qualitative data, and then it was a semi-structured with a collection of data using our objective. So through methodology, we got to know, basically methodology is something that you have got something and then you try to expand it. It's nothing that the methodology is used to apply your ideology, whatever you have in your ideas. So methodology, after that, after collecting the data, collection of, conducting normal tests, and then analyzing all those points, analyzing whatever the suggestions the students have given us. So basically, when you spoke to the almost all the students were with playground, people were lacking that we don't have enough time to consume the playground. But the students without playground were telling us that we are eager to play, but there is no opportunity for us to play. So there is no inter-school events. It's just that some Sundays we go to some park and then we play and come back. This was the answer. And then through methodology, I had been tested. Like I used this. Why did I choose Bangalore? It's because I thought the relevant what the variable I took was variable here. So I just gone to these schools and then I got the evidence, or the analysis part was also very good because the answers what they gave also made the research more valuable. And then I used chi-square test. The test I used because it's just nothing but in chi-square we use two variables. Like I here I use the academics and the can you go for the next slide? Here I use the academics and the playground. So that is academic. In here, the hypothesis was is academics and the playground are correlated or no, or whether academics is completely dependent on playground, or playground is completely dependent on academics. So after the test, I realized that the null hypothesis was rejected. It's because that there is no binge or a bit of correlation between the academics and the playground. This test easily tells us that the both are the individual things where you have to prioritize both the things together. It's not that giving an academics more priority and then the playground is less. See, that is where you get the mental stress as becoming very low. The student without playground, they think about that we have to play or we have to succeed in playing and all, but that is where the mental stress starts. So when person want to do something and then there is no opportunity to do, he start thinking, and then his mental capability for academics also goes low. So this is a way where the mental health in students are rising up. And then in playground, people know how to manage their patience level, or how to be harmonious, or how to use which strategies at which time. So when you don't give proper allocation for the playground, then the mental stress started going very high, and then the human intellectuality also will go low. So through this test we realized that the academics and the playground are two individual identities where you have to balance both the things in order to reduce the mental health. Can you go to the next slide? Okay, in results, I just explained that I used chi-square test, and then it was deviating more from the null hypothesis, so it got rejected. And then this also tells us that therefore, by the data analysis, it proves that the sports life should be recognized as the academic life, because the sports life also allow a person to maintain his life. So when you give opportunities for both the things, then when these two are balanced at the same level, the mental strength of each individual or students will be managed. The next slide. Okay, being a policy student, I just the policy loopholes comes only when the ground level is not structured properly. Or now we have in our constitution, or our article tells us that article 14 tells us that every student from the age of 6 to 14 should get proper compulsory education. At the same manner, there should be another right telling that the play for the 6 to 14 years should be compulsory. Like each one of them has to be indulged in any of the sports. So that in that manner, you make a person to develop academically and also the sports wise also. So this is one thing. And then improving the infrastructure, proper allocation of resources of fund. Now in every schools there is a proper allocation for the academics, like you have proper books, allocation of funds. The same manner even for the sports life, there should be a proper allocation of funds. Like example, for the sports kit or for the sports infrastructure or the permissions or from to play the intra-fest or to fund for the other competition, there should be a proper allocations of fund. Making play activities more prioritized, improving the physical activities so that the mental health could be reduced. Uh, Awareness about the physical activities which could increase the stability of mental health. So all these things basically tells us that when you start giving awareness, and also when you give proper infrastructure or proper funds, then obviously what happens, the priority increases. The next slide. The conclusion is there is a lot to be done where the adolescents' mental health in India is being concerned. The primary research tells us that they both are not correlated. So when the two things are not correlated, obviously what happens, you have to give prioritize for both the things. So finally, from our study, we conclude telling that each of the identity is being individually. So we have to give individually prioritize so that the mental health or the other problems would be drastically reduced. And then the teenage academic health necessary to be created in the integrative treatment strategies, so that when the starting itself, when you start giving proper uh, recognition of both the for both the terms, obviously what happens then the problem reduces. So if the problem goes up, and then when you start giving all those solutions at the ground level, that takes a longer time to be recovered. So it's, if you prioritize it in a beginning level, like making a proper rules and regulations in every schools, no matter it is in a government school or private school, if you give equal recognition or equal rules for everything, then automatically what happens, the problem reduces. So finally we tell that in this study we conclude that both the individuality are different, and both of them should be equally prioritized so that the final mental health or a mental stress of a student will obviously reduce. Thank you.